It's the game that you got a picture on a dartboard and you throwing the knife at the picture. Now I just take down the picture and I put up the other picture and I'm on the other side of it, but the energy is exactly the same.
Guys, Osa Odighizuwa, former Cowboy, who was traded just a few days ago to the 49ers, went on a podcast and said something that honestly feels very personal. Like, you play 17 games in a whole season, but you single out only one team, the team that you just left a few days ago. That doesn't look normal. That doesn't look good at all. Let me tell you exactly what he said, why I'm not happy about it, and how I expect the Cowboys to respond to him on the ground. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook. Cowboys, if you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Look, I want to keep things light today, I really do, but I also got to keep it real because that's just how we do things around here. So Osa Odighizuwa goes on the podcast, right? And the guy asks him if he's got any games circled on the schedule. Now, I get it. The interviewer was kind of hinting at something, kind of baiting him a little, but Osa took that bait and ran with it hard. He starts talking about how there's a picture on a dartboard, and now he flipped it around and he's on the other side throwing the knife at it. His words, not mine. And everybody listening knew exactly what game he was talking about. He didn't have to say Dallas Cowboys out loud. The message was loud and clear. And honestly, it landed exactly how he meant it to land. That's not something you say by accident. That's a calculated message, and every Cowboys fan heard it the same way I did. Now, before anybody comes in the comments saying I'm overreacting or that he's just supposed to say stuff like that because he's on a new team, I hear you. I genuinely do. You're a San Francisco 49er now. You're supposed to be fired up. You're supposed to be locked in. I respect that part of it. But here's the thing. You're not just on any team. You are on one of the biggest rivals we got. And everything you say that even hints at disrespect toward Dallas is going to be received exactly like that as disrespect. You said you got that game circled. You talked about throwing knives at pictures. You said the energy is exactly the same, just on the other side now. And you know what? The Cowboys fans are on the other side of it too, Osa. Message received loud and clear over here. But honestly, what gets me the most is the timing of all this. Like, where was this version of Osa Odighizuwa when he was a Cowboy? Because I watched this man every single week for 4 years, and I'm telling you, he looked the part every single time he stepped off that bus. The build, the size, the presence, everything about him screamed dominant defensive tackle. You'd look at him and think, okay, this man is going to be a nightmare for offensive linemen across this league. He's one of those guys where when he gets off the bus, everybody stops and takes notice. Like, who is that? That's Osa. And then you watch the game and you're like, okay, I see flashes, I see glimpses, but it never turned into what you thought it was going to be. And every single year, I kept waiting for him to take that next step. I kept waiting for that moment where an offensive coordinator is sitting in a film room on a Wednesday night, stressing out, losing sleep, saying, we got to find a way to stop Osa Odighizuwa this week. That moment never came, not once, not in 4 years. I went back and looked at the numbers because I'm not just going off vibes here. I want to be fair. From 2021 through 2025, you want to know what Osa gave us in the sack department? 2 sacks his rookie year, then 4, then 3, then 4.5, then 3.5. That's it. That's what we got from a guy making over $20 million. Now, look, I'm not saying sacks are the only thing that matters for a defensive tackle. I know pressures are real. I know QB hits count for something. I know tackles for loss are part of the conversation. But if you're making that kind of money as a pass rusher, you got to be getting to the quarterback consistently, and you got to be doing it when it matters most. That's just the reality of the situation. 8 sacks should have been the floor, the absolute bare minimum expectation, and we never even got close to that with him. Not once in all the years he was here. And here's what really stands out to me when I'm being completely honest with myself. There was never an Osa game. You know what I mean by that? There was never a moment in a big spot, a moment when the game was on the line and everything mattered, where Osa just took over and made it his. Chris Jones has those moments. Quentin Williams has those moments. Kenny Clark has those moments. Dexter Lawrence has those moments. Those are the guys offensive coordinators genuinely lose sleep over. Osa, he would flash every now and then, get a sack maybe in the 4th quarter when the game was kind of already decided, and then disappear again. A lot of those sacks even came in conjunction with Micah Parsons' pressure, which is something people tend to forget. Just enough production to keep your hopes alive, just enough to make you think, okay, maybe this is the year he finally breaks through and becomes that dominant force. And then it never happened. I'm telling you, I don't think any offensive coordinator ever sat in a meeting room and said, we got to specifically game plan to stop Osa Odighizuwa. And that is a serious problem when you are making that type of money week in and week out. I'll say this much. I was never the guy calling for us to just throw him away or cut him loose. I genuinely wanted him to figure it out here in Dallas. I even went out on a limb before the trade and said, you know what, maybe Osa just needs a change of scenery, a fresh start somewhere new. Maybe a different environment would unlock something in him that we never got to see. And I'm not against any man getting his money. Let me be very clear about that. Get your bag seriously because this league is brutal and careers are short and you got to secure your future while you can. But when you're getting paid top dollar, when you're getting paid like one of the best defensive tackles in the league, the production has to match that contract. It has to go both ways. And it just never did here in Dallas. And that's not me being harsh. That's just the truth. You know what else kind of tells the whole story without me even having to say much? Since the trade went down, I haven't really seen Cowboys fans losing sleep over it. And I'm not saying that to be cold or disrespectful toward Osa as a person. I'm just saying the reaction from the fan base said everything you need to know. When you lose a truly dominant player, a real difference maker, fans are upset for weeks. There's real frustration, real anger, that feeling of how we're going to replace this guy, what do we do now? That just wasn't the vibe here because deep down, everybody kind of already knew what Osa was and what he wasn't. And when we went ahead and brought in guys like Kenny Clark and Quentin Williams, I think everybody felt like, okay, we can actually work with this. We can get real consistent production now from that position. And look, I'll say something that might ruffle a few feathers, but it's just straight up facts and I stand behind it. Solomon Thomas had a better year than Osa last year. Similar type of production, same kind of numbers, and about a fraction of the cost. If you want to keep it completely honest, that says everything about where things stood. So when you zoom all the way out and look at the whole picture, the value just wasn't there relative to what we were paying. It's not personal. It's not about disliking Osa as a human being. It's just about what the numbers say and what we actually watched on that field every single Sunday when it counted. So now here we are. Osa Odighizuwa is the San Francisco 49ers. He's on the other side of one of the most intense and heated rivalries in football right now. And he's out here talking about dartboards and throwing knives and circling games on his schedule. I find that almost funny. I really do. Because the most fired up and motivated we have ever seen this man is when he's talking about playing against us. Just let that sit for a second. If that competitive fire was burning inside him this whole time, I genuinely wish we could have seen even a fraction of it when he was wearing our jersey. If he had played even 2 or 3 seasons with that edge, with that mentality, with that killer instinct he's showing right now in interviews, we might honestly be having a completely different conversation today. But that's not where we are. Where we are is Osa made his choice. He's on a new team. He's an opponent now. Simple as that. I don't wish bad things on the man. I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt out there. That's never what this is about. But now that he's on the other side, now that he's out here throwing shots at Dallas and hyping himself up to go against us, all I'm saying is you better come ready. Because we are going to see you out there on that field and all that energy you're bringing to this situation right now, you are going to need every single bit of it. You talked your talk, Osa. Now the field is going to do the talking back. Cowboys fans, drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know, what game do you remember where Osa really took over and made it his moment? Because honestly, I can't think of one. Not a single one. Love y'all. Let's keep it going.